Okay, friends, so this is the last morning together of our retreat, and this will be the last meditation period that we're going to have. And we're going to, in this meditation, we're going to be starting with the practice of forgiveness that I was been talking about last night. To give you an idea of how that might work. And then also I'll be reciting or reading the Marana Sati, the traditional stanzas for the mindfulness of death given by the Buddha. There's a kind of meditation on that as a part of this meditation period. So I think we'll go ahead and begin that. So first of all, just try to sit in your meditation posture. Try to align the spine and the head in a straight line. Just mentally feel the body sitting. Then begin some deep, slow breathing. Try to take a few seconds to expand the bottom, middle, and top of the lung, holding the air in for a few seconds. Imagine that oxygenated blood going out to bathe all the cells and tissues of the body with healing energy, feeling that relaxation on the out breath. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Just continue that several more breaths on your own. Then leave the deeper breathing alone. Just let the breathing return to its uncontrolled, shorter rhythm. Okay, now try to remember some incident from the past that you're still holding, some unresolved issues or negativity toward maybe certain persons, maybe from the distant past or from the recent present, or even if that person might have already passed away. Try to, if you can, visualize that person's face in front of you. Just try to remember just the general scenario of a particular argument or problem you're still holding in the unconscious mind, still think about from time to time. And just bring that person's face up in front of you if you can. And really just look into their face. They're also probably suffering from their own problems, greed, hatred, and delusion, like everyone else. Just recall that incident that may have caused those friction between you, whatever you believed that they might have done to perpetrate that incident or cause pain for you. Just try to look into their eyes and say, I forgive you for anything you might have done. I forgive you. Even if it hurts, I forgive you. We're all still like little children learning how to walk in the Dhamma. We make mistakes, we fall down. I forgive you for anything I think you might have done to hurt me. I want to cleanse that negativity from my own mind, accept you into my heart. And I also ask you to forgive me. I acknowledge that I also had something to do in that incident. Out of unmindfulness, might have said something or body language hurt you. Please accept my apology. Please forgive me. And now reflect on your own involvement in that particular situation, being honest about your own energy you put into this relationship. If you're feeling, guilty or bad about having done something, you can visualize your own face, say, I forgive you. Just forgive yourself. Again, we're all still like babies walking in the Dhamma. We make mistakes because of our lack of perfect mindfulness under duress or emotion. We've done or said things. But the past is the past. I'm walking a new life now in the Dhamma. I forgive myself. And making determination to be more mindful in the future. Before acting or speaking. And then it's letting go of those resentments, ill will, or negativities. Cleanse them, the unconscious mind from those memories. Make a fresh start. And then send thought vibrations of metta, friendliness, and best wishes to that other person, other persons, and to yourself. Thinking, may we all be well, mindful, and wise. May we all be free from attachments, anger, ill will, greed, the things that cause dissension and problems. May we all have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May we all be able to deepen our understanding of the Dhamma, to continue our practice of meditation, to help cultivate deeper levels of mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Be able to purify the deeper layers, levels, greed, hatred, and delusion still left in the mind. May we be able to cultivate the Brahma Viharas, the qualities of friendliness and best wishes for all beings. Cultivate compassion, trying not to cause other people's suffering, cultivating sympathetic joy, being happy and glad at the good fortune of other people or even of ourselves. Even we ourselves deserve good things happening, good fortune. But we know that comes about as the result of our skillful living, the accumulation of merits, wholesome qualities, generosity, practicing sila, and developing the mind. May all beings in the whole world be able to hear the teachings of the Dhamma, learn and practice meditation, to help free their minds from confusion and suffering. May all beings be able to understand karmic interdependence and karmic connection of all beings. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding that we're all going to die one day. The time of death is not known. We must drop all of our quarrel and dwell peacefully within ourselves, peacefully with all other beings. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. And now I'm going to be reading the stanzas of the Maranasati, or the recollection of death. Just try to hear these words and reflect on the meanings of this. Like a flame blown out by the wind, this life continuum goes to destruction. Recognizing one's similarities to others, one should develop mindfulness of death. Just as people who have achieved great success in the world have died, so too I must certainly die. Death is harassing me. Death always comes along together with birth, searching for an opportunity, like a murderer out to kill. Not the least bit stoppable, always going forward. Life rushes towards its end, like the rising sun to its setting. Like lightening a bubble or dewdrops or a line drawn in the water, life cannot last. Death is like a murderer after his foe, completely unrestrainable. Death slays those great in glory, in strength, merit, powers, and wisdom, and even the two kinds of conquerors, Buddhas and kings. No need to speak about one like me. Due to a lack of the necessities of life, or to some inner or outer misfortune, I, who am dying moment after moment, can die in the blink of an eye. The life of mortals is signless. Its length cannot be known in advance. It is difficult and limited and tied up with suffering. There is no possibility that mortals shall not die. Having reached old age, they die. Such is the nature of living beings. As fruit, when ripe, has to fall, so all beings live constantly in the fear that they will die. As a potter's earthen jars eventually must all break up, so too does the life of mortals eventually come to an end. The young and the old, the foolish and the wise, all move in the grip of death, all finally end in death. Impermanent are all conditioned things, affected by rising and falling away. Having arisen, they then must cease. Blissful is it when they subside. Before long, this body will lie cast away upon the ground, bereft of all consciousness, like a decaying block of wood. Uninvited, he came here. Without leave, he departed. He went just as he came, so why lament? Like gigantic boulders, mountains reaching to the sky, moving in from all sides, crushing all in the four directions. So aging and death come, rolling over living beings, noble warriors, priests, merchants, workers, outcasts, and scavengers, kings and queens. They spare nothing. They crush everything. Here, elephants can hold no ground, nor can chariots or infantry. One cannot defeat death by a battle of spells, or buy it off by means of wealth. So a wise person, seeing their own good, secures firm conviction in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. One who practices the Dhamma in thought, word, and deed, they receive praise here on earth, and after death, rejoice in the bliss of liberation or the heaven world. And now come back and get re-grounded, centered in the breathing body. Again, take a few deep, slow breaths. Holding in the breath a few seconds. charge up the cells of the body with oxygen. Relaxing the mind into the present moment on the out breath. Just feel that life force that sustains this living life. Just resting the attention behind the eye, turning on the webcam of awareness, feeling the outline of this breathing, living body. Kind of just behind the breathing, to feel that the subtle heart beating. As the oxygen comes out, comes into the lungs, the heartbeat sends it out to all the cells in the body. That's the intrinsic metta and compassion that nature has for this body. And even though we might do things that harm this body, the body forgives us, tries to keep breathing and heart beating despite the things we might do to it. Just turn up the power of the mental microscope to feel more subtle detail of this living process. Just let the awareness expand a little bit more. Feel more and more sensation. You start to feel those sensations, just pure energy. Life force vibration, not a solid body. Just let the solid edges of the body soften up, gradually dissolve. You just try to feel like an empty house with nobody home. To answer the call of knocking on the doors and windows. Just vibration, sounds, thoughts arising and vanishing. Through the space of present moment awareness. Just letting go of the known. This is what the process of dying might be like. The mind letting go of attraction to any sense stimuli. And the sense of I, me, your mind fading away. Just allowing the knower to fade away. Like an ice cube melting in a bowl of water. The ego consciousness is like an ice cube floating in water. The ice cube is also the water. When the sense of I starts fading away, that ice cube melting, and eventually it becomes the water, becomes the pure knowing. When the knower dissolves, in the present moment, knowing emerges. Without any grasping to the past or future, or even to the present. It's the conditioned mind dying unto itself. Dying to the past, dying to the future, even dying unto itself. Can you allow that sense of I, me, or mine to just fade away? What would prevent you from totally letting go? Is there any unfinished business that could hold you back? Could you welcome that last remnant of I, me, or mine and just slip away into the ocean of awareness? Like a dewdrop evaporating in the morning sun. Just continue this awareness, reflection, sitting longer if you like, or when ready. Carrying on, standing or walking. About the next 25 minutes. Start the closing talk around 10 o'clock. Okay, in a few minutes, we'll be starting the closing Dhamma talk. Uh,
Bhante, we cannot hear you.
I was talking about mindfulness, and I unmindfully started talking without using the microphone. So even the best of us make mistakes, lose our mindfulness. So in the last few days, we've been discussing about the nature of life and the living process, especially this body and the nature of this body, and how to try to live in awareness and to follow the teachings of the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, as a way of living skillfully in this life and to prepare for the inevitable event of death, and how to hopefully be able to die with awareness too. So in our life, we have to live with awareness in order to minimize the kind of problems and sufferings and negative actions that follow us around, so that when the time of death comes, our mind will not be so burdened with guilt, worry, remorse, and fear, or greed, hatred, and delusion, so that the mind will be able to leave the body and be able to essentially kind of rise upwards rather than go downwards to states of woe. So now in this closing talk, I want to talk a little bit more about some specific practices to do in the daily life to help develop that living with awareness and minimizing our problems and also accumulating merits. And merits are the good qualities of the mind that help the mind along its journey to evolution, or the evolution out of suffering to happiness. And in the Buddhist path, of course, I think you all know that we've already mentioned the Four Noble Truths, which are the outline of the Buddha's teaching, the truth of that suffering exists, and the cause of suffering. And suffering can be brought to an end, and then the way to live, think, and meditate that will help to unravel all the karmic knots in our unconscious mind and the accumulated negative thoughts and impulses, and to be able to purify them or transform them through wisdom and dissolve them. So this practice it takes a lot of skill in navigating through the life. So all the Buddha's teaching on the Noble Eightfold Path is the skill in how we navigate through life with all of its trials and tribulations or challenges and conditionings and so on. Now, even the Buddha himself said, life as a mortal is difficult and bound up with suffering. And even though people want to find happiness, because of wrong understanding and wrong accumulated bad habits, they inadvertently create and cause themselves a lot of suffering and unnecessary problems in both the body and the mind. So the general path of practice is normally explained as the practice of dana, sila, and bhavana, or sila, samadhi, and panya. But we'll be talking about sila, samadhi, and panya as the ways to help train our bodies and mind. So sila is basically the 8 steps of the Eightfold Path of right speech, right thought, and right speech, right action, and right livelihood. And sila basically means skillful conduct. It means living in accordance with the laws of nature that we already talked about. And sila basically is a way to control our external body. So you all know about, you observing the 5 precepts, sometimes the 8 precepts, or even more precepts. But basically for a lay person, those 5 precepts are the standard sort of minimum skillful behavior to keep out of at least much of the self-created problems and suffering. So I think you're all familiar with those precepts, or the standard morality that you find in most other religions and philosophical systems also. But basically, sila, we have to observe precepts because it's difficult to control our actions of body, speech, and mind. And so, like you take the precept to avoid from killing or harming living creatures. Or as we mentioned, as we recited in the puja the last couple of nights, I undertake the training rule, to abstain from taking life, to abstain from taking what is not given, to abstain from false speech and sexual misconduct, the training rule to abstain from intoxicating drinks and drugs causing heedlessness, and other forms of unskillful speech, malicious speech, harsh speech. So all of these, the opposites of those, the negative behaviors, are very common behaviors, amongst human beings. And we learn that, from others. So even if you were born in a Buddhist country, even though Buddhists take 5 precepts, a lot of people don't always follow them, do they? They break them once in a while. And that's because they don't have control over their thoughts. So observing sila is a way to minimize much of the heavy suffering and problems in our life. The Buddha had said that if everybody could just follow 5 precepts, just 5, right? 5 precepts, those main 5 precepts. If people could just follow them, it would almost be like heaven on earth. There would hardly be any need for the Buddhist teaching, because there would hardly be any suffering at all, or very minimal. So why can't people follow them? Why can't they follow them? You'd think it'd be common sense. Well, unfortunately, because of the nature of evolution and conditioning, it's very hard to control the mind. And we just follow and copy what other people are doing, and follow our own impulses. And those impulses are of greed, hatred, and ego-centeredness. So these are the three heavy types of mental defilements. So practicing the precepts is to put a brake on the physical the actions and speech. And we have to remind ourselves all the time because of the past habits of and impulses of just perhaps breaking them. So the sila works on basically preventing the bodily actions and preventing those heavy karmic actions that then bring suffering. But the sila itself doesn't necessarily change your mind. It like put a brake on your body. Like if you take the precept not to injure life, if you see let's say a cockroach in your house or a mouse, people would want to just, go and put a trap out or kill it or, smash it or flush it down a drain and other things because, that's their habit. So we have to keep reminding ourselves or not to tell a lie, not to use harsh speech. So it's sort of like having a policeman in your mind. As long as a policeman is out there directing traffic, people obey the traffic, right? But what happens when the policeman goes and the lights are not working? Then most people will start driving for themselves, right? Speeding up, making illegal turns, cutting off other people, and things like that. So the same way, if we don't have the guidelines of sila, then the mind just easily reverts back to its impulses. So the practice of sila goes a long way in minimizing pain and suffering. But as I mentioned, it doesn't change the mind. Our thoughts are still there. So for example, maybe a mosquito lands on you and starts biting. And then you can see this impulse to want to, get rid of it. And so the arm starts to lift up like that. And at the last minute, you remember, Panatipata Veramani. You force your hand down. So you kind of force yourself not to kill it. So that's so far that's good. At least you didn't kill the mosquito, but you still wanted to, maybe, right? Or you maybe want to tell a little lie on your job application, that you weren't a convicted felon. I use that in my own example. So if we don't have that precept of sila, then we would give in to the easy way out. Right? But then the easy way out may seem easy in the beginning, but then it comes back to bite you and cause you problems later. So that's where the practice of the meditation comes important, or the practice of samadhi. So in practicing concentration, when you practice meditation long enough and develop your meditation, you can enter deep states of mental contentment when the mind is not wanting to really think about anything else, and it can sit through pains and it reach a deep state of inner tranquility. And in those states of meditation that I think most of you probably have experienced, at least for short periods of time, that the last thing would ever come into your mind is want to go out and, harm somebody, right? Or let alone kill them. Or, to do anything really. It would be farthest from your mind to go out and tell lies or use harsh speech or even, the other, breaking any other precepts. So the practice of regular meditation helps keep even those kind of negative impulses or even thoughts about harming or cruelty or other negative thoughts, it keeps them kind of suppressed. So that's even more of a help in not, doing those unwholesome actions. But even samadhi or concentration by itself is also not enough. Because a lot of people meditate, and they come to meditation these days because they hear about, to tranquilize your mind, to gain some peace of mind, to quiet their mind. So they may practice different techniques of concentration, such as, maybe just, anapanasati, watching the breath, or maybe staring at a candle flame, maybe chanting a mantra. There's many ways that you can concentrate to sort of temporarily quieten your thoughts. But it's like sort of pushing the mind down into quiet, kind of by a force. You're forcibly trying to concentrate. Oh, where's my nose tip? Somehow exerting this effort to try to concentrate. But then when you come out of that concentration, the old mind then comes back up again. Now, I usually like to give this analogy of a jack-in-the-box. So you young girls, do you know what a jack-in-the-box is? That toy? So it's a tin box with the head of a clown on it, or some people say a devil. Right? So when you push the head down into the box and put on the lid, then you don't see the head of the devil. But the head represents greed, hatred, and delusion. And the head represents me. I, me, and mine. Look at me, give it to me. Mine, 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 mine. Along with its greed, hatred, and delusion. So, but when you concentrate, it's like you push the head of that devil down into the box and put on the lid. So everything looks quiet. But then what happens when you take the lid off the box again? What? It comes back up again, yeah. Why? Because of the spring underneath, right? So the head is on a spring. You push the head down and it compresses the spring. And when you take it off, it pops back up, sometimes with a lot of power. So this is a kind of an analogy for practicing meditation just to concentrate and quiet your mind, but without going on to develop insight, awareness, and insight, and to contemplate, the impermanence and so on. So that's where the wisdom plays its important part. So we talked about the 3 stages of the path, the sila, samadhi, and panya. That means the skillful behavior, controlling the body, and then quieting the mind through samadhi. And then the last stage is the wisdom. And that is developing the insight or the vidarshana into the nature of the mind, and especially understanding the no self, how the sense of self is basically an illusion. But anyway, contemplating impermanence, suffering, and no self, as we do in the practice of the Satipatthana, when you follow the Satipatthana Sutta, or practicing some methods of the Vipassana meditation or insight meditation. Because of that, we just don't quieten the mind and stay there in developing wisdom. We use that quiet mind then to investigate the deeper nature of our thoughts and impulses. Anyway, I'm not going to explain all of that now because it's too complicated, in a few words. But the analogy, maybe the analogy will help, of the jack in the box. So if you take that same jack in the box, in the head is down, the spring is compressed, but then you go underneath with a pair of wire cutters and you cut the spring 1/4 away. Then when you take the lid off, the head comes back up, but with less power, with only 75% of its previous power. That's the function of insight. When you get the powerful insights into no self, that acts as cutting that spring of ignorance a little bit. And then you go on meditating and you get those deep insights again. And each time you get a deep insight, it's like cutting another piece of that spring. And so it gradually loses its power. That means the greed, hatred, and delusion, and the ego. And then eventually you cut through the spring altogether. And when they cut through the spring altogether and take off the lid, then what? The head doesn't come up, right? So in the same way, that is equal to the state of, when the ego gets transcended and the mind becomes purified of greed, hatred, and delusions, then that cause of suffering doesn't arise anymore. And that is really the whole practice of the Dhamma. Now, all the things that you hear about when you study the Buddha's teaching or study the Dhamma, all the different practices and sutras, they're all about how to train the mind to be able to gradually develop those qualities of mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So that is how, because the defilements are multi-layered, they come out through the body, but they're still in the mind, and then they're still in the unconscious mind. So this preparing our life, living with awareness, is also, understanding that whole path and understanding how our body and mind interacts with the world, and understanding how it's got caught in the web of karma. Now, usually at the end of a retreat, a lot of people come to a retreat for the first time, or people coming on retreat, they come as like a battery charge. So, because they may not meditate too much by themselves at home, and so they come to retreat to get a little battery charge. But normally, most teachers at the end of a retreat will tell people, if you really want to make gradual, steady progress in developing mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom, then ideally one should practice twice a day. And once in the evening and once in the morning. And the morning meditation is probably the most important one. Because when you meditate in the morning, like before you go to work or you start getting active, then you develop that kind of awareness, and you're more mindful, more calm, and more mindful. So when you go out to interact with people and so on, hopefully you will have mindfulness not to get too carried away or to break any precepts. And then meditating in the evening is good for releasing any negative memories or vibrations that you might have accumulated during the day. Because even if you meditate in the morning, by mid-morning or so, most of the effects of the meditation probably would have worn off, and people's minds would be, coming back to their normal kind of busyness and so on, losing that sort of centeredness. And so meditation in the evening is good time to practice the forgiveness meditation. So anybody that may have crossed you during the day, or if you did something unmindful in the day, you would forgive others, or forgive yourself, so that you don't take those negative thoughts with you to sleep, where then you might have some negative dreams. So ideally, that's the way that a person can use those 2 meditation periods, and to help them in their life. But the problem is, many people can't keep up that meditating, twice a day. And but when people come on a retreat, they get enthusiastic and they remember how good it was to meditate a couple of times a day, and say, "Oh yeah, I'm really going to try to meditate twice a day again." And so they go home from a retreat. But in a retreat, when you're meditating with a group, it's a lot easier to stay there in the group without moving or without giving up, because when pain comes and so on, or the mind gets really active, and a lot of people will give up their meditation earlier. No one's looking around. Who's going to care? So people will cut their meditations short, if they don't have that support around. So that's what usually happens. A person might go home from a retreat and meditate twice a day for the first couple of days. And maybe because they went to retreat, they had to get somebody at work to cover their job. So now they have to cover the other person's job, and they're working and they're tired. So usually they give up the evening meditation. So after a couple of days, they might leave off the evening meditation and then just do the morning meditation. And maybe after another couple of weeks, a 45-minute morning meditation may drop down to 30 minutes. And then the 30-minute meditation, another week or two, drop down to 15 minutes. And then before long, the person's going out the house, drinking down the last bit of coffee, and he pats the Buddha on the head and says, "Namo Buddhaya, you meditate for me." And that becomes most of their meditation. Unfortunately, that happens a lot. And that used to happen to me too in the beginning, but gradually you gain strength to be able to maintain your practice. But anyway, that's what happens. Especially people that are, family life, work life, social life, so many things. It's very difficult to maintain that discipline, especially if you don't have support. So that's why people they come to the meditation center here, because they know when they come here, they'll be able to get at least, 2 solid periods of meditation in or more each day, and have, people to talk with the Dhamma with. So, but anyway, for people that have difficulty maintaining their practice, and there's another practice that we've come up with to try to keep some level of mindfulness in your day. And that's called an M&M. You know what M&Ms are? The little candies, right? They're small and sweet, right? You like them? Well, there's a meditator's M&M. And that is a minute meditation. And this is a specific practice where you train yourself to stop once an hour for 1 minute. So at some point after just finishing one job before beginning some other duty or so on, you just stop, sort of freeze in your tracks and just let go of that push to the future and bring your attention to the body. And the best time to do it is even when you're standing or sitting, but just to stop and bring your attention to the body, feel the feet grounded to the floor, take a couple of deep, slow breaths and just bring your mind back to the present moment, to get reconnected to the body in the present moment that I've been, repeating over and over so many times during this retreat, because our body is the anchor to the present moment. But normally during the day, we're mostly in our mind and not really aware much of our bodies. So you pause for 1 minute and relax. Just try to relax that tension or that forward momentum or whatever you were thinking about or ruminating about or worrying. And try to let go of that. Just, feel the body. And taking deep, slow breaths is really one of the best ways to do it. Because when you're taking a deep, slow breath, it takes almost all of your energy, right? To really regulate the breath and to bring it in slowly and really feel that expansion in the lungs. I mean, it takes all of your energy just to do that. So that in itself, you're, in a moment, you're forgetting about other things. And holding the breath in for several seconds. Also, it's such a powerful feeling, you can't really think about anything else. So if you simply just take 2 or 3 of those 3-part breaths, that alone is 1 minute. And you can just relax into the present moment. But also you can reflect. If you were upset in that last hour, or got angry or did something, you can reflect on that and try to let go of it. Or if somebody hurt you in the last hour, you can practice forgiveness. It's called on-the-spot forgiveness. Instead of leaving it even for the evening time, because you might have to see this person next hour, to try to forgive them and make amends so it doesn't fester inside of you. Or whatever other types of preoccupations, worries that you might have. You reflect on them and try to let go of them. Or you can also send out metta. In that 1 minute, you can just breathe in and out. May all beings be well and happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free from greed, hatred, and delusion. Like that, you can just do that even for 45 seconds or 1 minute. And then you continue to carry on your day. But you try to do it every hour, if possible. Because it's like raindrops falling from a roof. When the rain drops off the roof, drip, drip, drip. So you collect it. If you only have 1 or 2, it's not going to be enough to drink or satisfy your thirst. But if you get a lot of them, then it'll be enough to use. So this practice of the M&Ms needs to be done as often as possible, but at least once an hour. Because anybody can stop for 1 minute. Can you stop for 1 minute? But 5 minutes? 5 minutes? So, anybody could stop for 1 minute because we waste so much time anyway, isn't it? And usually when people are unmindful, they have to spend more time cleaning up their messes or remembering where they put their keys because they forgot, or so many other things. But when you are more mindful throughout the day, you will have a better memory, and you'll be more mindful when you do things, not to make so many mistakes or a mess that you have to then clean up. So that that practice of the M&Ms, everybody could effectively do it. And you'll feel good when you do it. And then hopefully, see that closes the gap also between morning and evening meditation. So even if you do morning and evening meditation, these M&Ms are like meditation supplements. Do you take supplements at home, vitamin supplements? Okay. To supplement your diet, right? So M&Ms are a supplement to our longer meditations, to close the gap. You have a 12-hour gap between morning and evening meditation, where oftentimes we become unmindful. Or a lot of times people, they do a morning meditation and they say, oh, I'm such a good Buddhist, I meditated. Now let me go out and mischief. So then they take the liberty, let me have an ice cream or whatever, they take liberties, or it won't matter to tell a little lie or something like that. So the M&Ms help to supplement the practice throughout the day, so that when you do go home to meditate in the evening, you'll be able to get into the meditation a lot sooner, and probably feel better to even have a longer meditation. So this is really an important aspect of, living with awareness, learning how to keep up that awareness level, to keep it up to par, because it slips down so quickly. And let alone the minute meditations. Throughout the day, we have 5 seconds here, 10 seconds there, 15 seconds there of kind of idle time when we're waiting for something. And usually the mind immediately just starts to, look around and, criticize this or that, or just get into some useless thoughts. But instead we can also utilize that time, even if it's just for 5 or 10 seconds, for the length of just one breath. And so during the day also, at other times, one of the very good time is when you go shopping. So when you go to the supermarket, you have to wait in line. There's a long line, waiting in line. So instead of, looking at this person's clothing or that lady's hairdo, or criticize the woman for not controlling her children and so on, you can just bring your attention to the body and take some deep, slow breaths. Or a lot of people, you come to the checkout line, you're standing around, you see all the magazines in the racks there, You see some people's magazine, oh, Michael Jackson was reborn. Oh. So the mind gets, carried away. So instead, we can keep our eyes in our head and utilize those short periods, even for just one deep, slow breath, or just 1 or 2 repetitions of may all beings be well and happy, may all beings be peaceful. And then continue what you're doing. And so there's many opportunities during the day which we can do these sort of mini battery charges for our mindfulness. And, for a lot of people, these would be, sort of a lifesaver, but if you really practice them. And because then when you do go back to meditate again, you will be much easier and quicker to get back to a good level of the meditation. So these are just some sort of closing ideas or aspects of practice that I wanted to share with you, because again, we don't know when death may happen. And people that die getting hit by a car going out of the supermarket, or at any time. So if you're here and now, you will be there then, as I mentioned last night. That means if you can bring your mind to the body at any time very quickly, kind of just bring the mind to the body and get grounded and kind of enter that space of the present moment. I mean, a person can do that fairly easily if you train yourself, for short periods. But, and so if you train yourself to be able to do that, then if and when, something happens, accident, and you only have, a few minutes even before you might die, you could, if you've trained yourself, hopefully you would be able to bring your mind back to that space and die with a more clear mind. So with that, I think we're going to finish this talk and finish the retreat. And I think our friends in Canada might want to say some words. So can you unmute them? So you can unmute yourself if you want to.
Thank you, Bhante. I'm Jane from the Ottawa Buddhist Society, and I would sincerely like to express my appreciation on behalf of all of us who are practicing with you online. It has been such a wonderful opportunity, and I feel so much gratitude for the experience that you've provided for all of us the last 3 days. The teachings have been so carefully put together so that each time there's been a teaching, there's been wonderful opportunities to practice with the teachings. And with the 5 aggregates, to then do a meditation where we could really experience the body as vibration and as sensation, and to kind of let go of the solidity of the body in that experience was really very helpful. And there were many, many experiences that you offered, such as that. I think we all have really have felt that sense of the present, the breathing body and sensation as the anchor for present moment awareness. And along with that teaching that it is that living in present moment awareness that does prepare us for death. So I think it's been, for me, and I know for others at home, it's been very valuable. I really appreciated how you really helped us work with the prana, and the sense of that mental microscope was extremely helpful. Each time it was, yes, this mental microscope helps to bring that focus so that we do see things more clearly while we're meditating. There were others, the clear teachings around walking meditation and standing meditation, the yoga practices. All of this was such wonderful training. And I think all of us at home so much appreciated having the opportunity to do this practice with those of you at Low. Today, I very much appreciated the death meditation. I think that really experiencing the ice cube as it melts into the rest of the water was a very powerful understanding of letting go of that, the body and duality, and really very helpful, as were so many of the other things that you helped us to experience. And I suppose that's what stands out for me, is that every teaching that you gave was then put into an experience that we could really relate to and understand more completely. So I want to thank you so much for your wisdom, your energy, which is amazing, the strong and consistent presence that you provided throughout the retreat. And as you said, it will energize our practice and give us greater insight into how to make our practice more focused and stronger. And I have so much gratitude, as I know all of us at home have, for being able to be in this experience with those of you at Low. And I wonder if we could offer 3 bows to show our respects.
Abhivadana Silisa Nichang Vanda Puchayino Chattaro Dhamma Vadanti Ayavano Sukhang Balang Ayurarogya Sampatti Saga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Minate Samijyatu. So thank you for your kind words, and we enjoyed having all of you, the group from Ottawa and beyond, with us. And because the last couple of years I was not able to come up there in person, as you all know, and so it's good to have you. And I enjoyed sharing the Dhamma with all of you, because I know you are all very sincere practitioners, and I wish you all the best. And just remember this one last little teaching: mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away.
Thank
So
you,
these
Bhante.
recordings of all these sessions would probably be up on our YouTube channel within a few days or so, if people want to at any time review them and so on.
Thank you.
Sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bhante.
Thank you,
Sadhu.
Bhante.
Thank you.
May you have a long life. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Bhante.
Thank you, 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 Bhante.
Okay, I'm going to sign out now. I'm going to do a Buddha puja now. Our devotees have come.